Hey, Stephen here. Welcome to the House Academy Show, entertaining house wholesale flip and investment talk. I'm Stephen Jack Butella, broadcasting from sunny Southern California. Today I talk with our Arizona boots on the ground, Ken Bond, where he explains the wholesale house flips we're doing right now and gives us all the details. Hey, Ken.
Hey, good morning.
How many deals are we doing? And give us the highlights about the deals you love and the deals you hate, and probably the houses that we're rejecting or going to reject.
Right, you bet. So we sent out. I guess first and foremost, we sent out a pretty healthy mailer out to Phoenix area in Chandler, actually, right? So, and we got a pretty decent response. We got roughly I think 11 back that we decided to move forward on.
So let's do the math there. I'm always involved in the mailers. In this particular case, actually, Ken started the mailer, and I kind of just looked at it at the end. But I think it was around 20,000 units.
Right.
And we've got 11 houses, you said?
Yeah, 11 houses. We posted 11 houses to House Tank.
So that's one for 2,000. That's about one for 1,800, which is actually right on the mark for what we usually do.
Mm-hmm. So some real interesting stuff in there. I mean, we covered, with 20,000 mailers, we covered a huge span of this area. And everything from super new stuff to super old stuff, like from the 50s. We have a few that we got back were built in the 50s. One particular one, this gentleman, we sent him mailers to 5 of his properties, actually to 4 of his properties, and he was curious why he didn't get one for his 5th house in that same street.
I'm curious too.
Yeah, I still haven't been able to figure it out, to be totally honest. I couldn't figure out what the anomaly was there, but in any regard, of those houses, we're partnered on 3, so it's going to be a pretty interesting deal there. So
yeah, we put these houses when they came back, and we qualified the houses. The 11 that Ken's talking about are the houses that we accepted. Mm-hmm. I bet there's probably 20 or 30 that came back where we just said it's not going to work for us.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So we're buying 11 and rejected probably at least twice that. So.
Right.
This guy came back, and now that I think about it, he didn't get a letter from us because he probably has some debt on the house. We only set letters out to people who have no debt at all on their house, so that they can negotiate.
That was probably what it was.
So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So we're doing those three houses of those that of the 4 letters that we sent to him, and then so that we're getting into escrow on those next week, and then. Another deal that we're doing is down in the Sun Lakes area, which is this is the most interesting and going to be the most time consuming for me, is the boots on ground. This particular house is it's vacant, but there's a bunch of stuff in the house, like in the garage and in the cabinets and stuff. And the elderly lady that owns this house is just incapable of getting back in there. And at this point, she's just done. She wants to sell and just get her check and move on. So
what's the economics on this deal?
Yeah. So this particular one, we sent an offer to her for $190,000, and I think market retail on that is somewhere around the 225, 230 range. And as we went down there, we went out there and we got into the house. We looked at it. We looked at it. It was pretty dated. Everything seemed to be intact well, but it's just really dated. Yeah. And then we were able to kind of scope around the rest of the neighborhood, find some very specific comps. And then we had to come back and we made her a different offer. So I came back to her with a $160,000 offer, and she took it immediately.
Wow.
Took it immediately. She said, yes, absolutely. Let's just get this done.
So there's probably $50,000 wholesale in the deal.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Definitely.
That's beautiful.
So a little bit of extra work up front in the lift just to get it prepared, but absolutely worth it.
Did you get an inspection report back on that?
We did. Yeah. And the inspection report came out pretty well. This is an older house. I want to say it's late 70s or early 80s, somewhere from that era. And it's AC was replaced like 10 years ago. So it's still, all that kind of stuff is good. They found a little bit of termite, which is not uncommon in Arizona in general. But lucky for us, most of it was on a back outbuilding that's like a shed, like a tough shed thing.
Great.
So they can stay out there. It's not that big.
These are my favorite kind of deals to do, because if the house looks a mess, but the inspection comes back, it's all mechanical and it works and stuff.
Yeah.
it's for whatever reason that the owner sometimes has a perception that it's not worth as much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like mostly because of all the garbage that goes on HGTV. It's only worth more. And I don't believe this, but I'm a big price per square foot fan. The house is worth, from an equity standpoint, X amount times the square footage. And it has nothing to do with the finishes or very little to do with the finishes, but people see the value in the finishes, regular people, not real estate people. So this house is a perfect example of an acquisition that we love to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I wish I had 10 of these, and it's very possible to get 10 more just like it. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's probably my favorite as of now. I mean, so, and that one actually is in escrow. We're expected to close on that one, I think, Tuesday of next week.
So there's 11 houses in there. Here's the big picture math in my head anyway. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Tell me.
We'll probably run 50,000 of equity in there. And let's say the other 10, we average 30. Let's just say 30. So that's $350,000 of equity that we're going to create probably within the next 60 to 90 days, realistically. And because we're funding these on House Tank, which is a site we own. House Tank is a site not so much for Ken because he knows all about it, but for the listener, when we buy our houses and we choose not to fund them ourselves, we put them on House Tank, and so do our House Academy members and other people. There's a lot of people in our group, both in this group and Land Academy, that are just money people. They don't want to do deals. They'll fund it for us. So these houses are all getting funded by other members, with the exception, I think, one or two, which we're funding ourselves. So you as a listener, you should go out there and check it out. Go out to House Tank, and then we also have Land Tank, and see how people can start and do these deals without any money at all, after you get educated. So it's a pretty good deal. I mean, I never thought, honestly, when we started these websites that we would use them as real estate investors to get funding. What it allows us to do is send out 10 times more mail because we know we're going to get funded and because we're picking good deals. So it's actually, I don't want to make this a commercial, but it's pretty cool.
Right.
So any other highlights on these other properties, like anything that concerns you from a, quality standpoint? I saw some properties in there that were like $70,000.
Yeah. So actually, going back to the first few that we're talking about, the older ones, there's some in there that they're pretty dated. The thing is, though, being that old, they've had a couple renovations. Typically, that's what I've found in general. Is they've already had a couple renovation periods. Whether it was in 1970 and then somebody came back in 1990 or whatever. HVACs have been replaced. In a lot of regard, some of the stuff you find is in better condition than some of the newer stuff. Because I've walked into newer stuff and it's just like, wow, what you guys did nothing for 10 years, in this beautiful house.
Or maybe abused it for 10 years.
That's it. Yeah. Needs paint, needs everything. So we actually walked into one particular house that, quite honestly, we chose not to go forth because it needed everything. Like somebody moved in and just beat the crap out of this house.
Was it a tenant or did
it was the owner? They bought it. And this crazy thing is they owned it outright, since that's what we're selling to. And it was just so far gone that it's just like, wow, it just digs into your profit too much. So
speaking of tenants, I know there's a property in there, or maybe two, there's a tenant in place.
Yeah. We've got one that's a real good one. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't gotten partnered yet. I'm sure it will soon, especially after talking about it. But yeah, there's one particular one that I just think is fantastic. And this lady, she owns a couple different rentals out there in Chandler, but this one, she's got tenants in there, I think until I want to say it's February of next year or something of that nature. Super nice, clean house. Tenants have taken care of the place. It's just it's easily got 35 to 40 in it.
Yeah.
Quick turn. So,
the interesting thing about properties that are leased is it can be a great thing or not a good thing. And it all comes back to the lease value against the house value. So you got to look at it like it's a regular house acquisition for us and do the numbers that way, or you can apply a capitalization rate on that income stream. So, and I haven't done that yet on this deal, but usually with single family residences, the cap rate doesn't apply. You're really buying the house value, but I'll have to check because sometimes you can just buy the house with the tenant in there and resell it, just ready to go. There's a website called Turnkey. I don't want to plug someone else's thing, but it's actually a pretty cool website called Turnkey Houses or something like that. If you Google it, and this is their whole business. They buy houses, put a tenant in there, make sure the cap rate is above 10%, and sell the house turnkey to investors. So it's actually a pretty good business model. The guy's name is Jay Hendrick that owns it, and he's all over Bigger Pockets. So I don't want to be that. That's not our business model at all. But
Right.
if you're that kind of person and you're listening to this, check that out. Any other good or bad deals in there that you want to talk about? I know we're going to do this next week too.
Yeah. We got a bunch of really high end stuff too. We did get quite a bit of that back too. So there's a few that are just sub 500K, but they still have good money in them. It's a little bit bigger outlay for one deal, but these are the beauty of those is that they're beautiful. They really showcase to a big buying group. So I wouldn't be afraid of any of these.
No, I mean if they're
bigger dollar ones.
Yeah, if they're done,
and
we're just making our money on the acquisition and then reselling it.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
That's great. I love those kinds of deals.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to spend money at all. We pre-qualify before we send the mailer out. We make sure that the days on market and the zip codes that we're sending mail to are really low. We don't review the market itself after we send the mail out. We pre-qualify the market long before it ever gets in the mail. So when they come back, we already know they're going to sell quickly at the prices that we're offering. So it's actually works out really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So next week I'll have some pretty good fodder.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Join us next time for another episode where we catch up with Jill DeWitt on all things Wholesale House Academy. And we answer your questions posted on our Facebook community called House Academy. It's free. As always, you are not alone in your real estate ambition.